stair climbing, at least for me, was a super powerful way to regulate the glucose. Okay, well, to do that, health insurance companies do not pay for these little testers and these little test strips. They simply don't cover the cost. So unless you're diagnosed as being diabetic, and then they will cover the cost of one little test strip, per day. And then if you need insulin, they might pay for a few more of those test strips. So it's a very reactive situation. They're going to wait until you're seriously sick, and then they'll give you some tools. Well, you're going to have to take that in your own hands if you really want to find out how your food, how your sleep, and how your exercise are impacting your glucose levels. A pack of 100 test strips like this used to cost $140. And up until very recently, up until really the time that I started writing about this issue. And CVS Pharmacy came out with a box of 100 for $22. So that was, undercutting all these other companies that were selling them for $100, $120, $140 for a box of 100. They were selling them for $22. That really makes it more accessible for people to go out, get a bunch of test strips, and for $17, $18, get a little test kit. I would recommend using a couple of these. And then you can start testing your glucose levels throughout the day without shelling out a lot of money. And it's going to take a while for the insurance companies to catch up with this. So currently, again, even though it's only 22 cents, they don't want to shell out the money, even though we've given them billions. But I don't want to go down that path. Anyway, point is, you're going to have to probably buy some of these yourself. And then the reason for having two test kits is usually they'll be very accurate. And sometimes when you just put a little prick on your finger with this little device here, and you have the test strip inserted in this little tester, you touch it to the drop of blood, and it gives you a readout, right? And normal is kind of between 80 and 110 or somewhere around in there. Normally that reading will be the same on both meters. That's what it should be. There are variations, your blood sugar is changing throughout the day, and it's not always identical in every little spot on your body. So there will be variations even within the same test, right? So by taking those two readings, if one of them says it's 98 and the other says it's 102, you can be pretty sure of what the reading should be. Sometimes you'll take two readings and one might say 98 and the other will say 140. Well, that means maybe you didn't clean your finger properly or whatever, but that's why you need two testers, is because sometimes those readings will be so far off, you need to know if you're getting an accurate one. And that's why it's really a problem that the health insurance companies only cover one test per day, typically in the morning to get your fasting glucose, because you really don't know what's happening throughout the rest of the day. Some people have a low glucose reading in the morning and it gets higher throughout the day. Other people have a high glucose reading in the morning and it gets lower throughout the day because of activity, and because the body's doing what it's supposed to do to regulate blood sugar. There are a couple of conditions where people have higher blood sugar at night. So that's why it really is important to kind of check that and find out where yours is. Well, for myself, by spending $22 and getting about 100 data points to analyze, I was able to figure out what changes I could make in my sleep, my exercise, and my food to produce these really good results. And what I found was then, I'm going to show you a few foods here, just kind of conclude this video, is instead of typical bread, which would, at least in my experience, cause my blood sugar to skyrocket, I started eating this Ezekiel bread. I just get the original. There are other sprouted grain breads out there. This is just the one I'm familiar with. But having that bread, for whatever reason, seemed to significantly maintain and reduce my glucose levels. So that was really a great find. And another good source of food that it's relatively high in carbs, 25 grams of carbs, 5 grams of sugar, is this, it's called Balela, and this one's from Pita Pal. I get this at Costco. It has chickpeas in there and a bunch of other veggies, black beans, onions, parsley, sun-dried tomatoes, all organic. And I like to combine that with a good organic yogurt. This one is Kelowna Supernatural, but there are others out there. And that combination is quite good. The yogurt's a little bit, as well as this Balela, is kind of vinegary, a little bit tart, you know, and that helps with getting your appetite under control. So the bread, this seaweed product from Costco, you can get, it's like $7 or $8. You can get a huge pack of this stuff. And this is really a good snack food. A whole packet of this would be 5 servings, and 5 servings would be 100 calories. So it's really filling, right? I mean, just one of these packets expands in your stomach, and you're going to feel like you've had a whole meal, and yet you've really just had, you know, 100 calories. So that's a good product to be considering. This is another product, Mary's Gone Crackers, and this I do not know of another alternative for this. They have a variety of flavors, black pepper, this one's jalapeno, there's an original, there's one that's called Super Seed. This also is relatively high in carbs, 21 grams of carbs, but no sugar. And from my experience, it seems like it's a pretty low glycemic index food. I've not noticed any spikes of blood sugar after eating that. And so those are kind of some carb sources. Here's another product from Costco. It's the quinoa tabbouleh, and it also is, actually this one's kind of low in carbs, 9 grams of carbs, 1 gram of sugar. So low glycemic index and low carb. It has tomatoes, quinoa, parsley, onions, a bunch of other good stuff in there. And I think, yeah, this one's not organic, but still very good filling food that does not have a negative impact on the blood sugar. And what I've been finding is that these low glycemic foods really help your body. It's just like conditioning that process. I've done some stress tests since I've been on this program, where I just threw a bunch of, you know, food into my system that was like 200 grams of carbs, 58, 100 grams of sugar, like really intense, to see what my body would do after it's been conditioned by eating these foods. And at one test, it was below 100 after that. And another test, it was like at 120 or something. It was really impressive. So water obviously is essential, and that's part of this program. I want to talk a little bit about, for the bread, I sometimes will toast that 1 or 2 slices and have it with Smart Balance. There's other similar products out there you can try, but I do find the Smart Balance is nice. It has some good omega-3s in there. Salsa is good to throw in. It's tasty, satisfying, and very low in calories. Hummus is another good product. It's higher in calories, right? Because it's here for this one, 70 calories for like 2 tablespoons. Okay, so you're going to get a lot of calories from this, but it's satisfying and does not have any carbs and doesn't have any sugar. Oh, wait a minute. Carbs, 4 grams. Okay, and then but sugar 0. So it depends on the hummus product you use. Cottage cheese, and I've done some videos about this before, so I'll keep this short. And I'll include some links in this video you'll see up here on the right and down below in the YouTube and on the website, so you can find out more about my video on cottage cheese. But basically, here's the thing. If anyone is atrophied at all, either due to a medical condition, if your muscle tone is not what it should be, or due to a dietary situation, like let's say you're a really focused vegan, you're not getting as much protein as you need, or maybe that's just been a goal of yours, you're a long distance runner or whatever, you don't have the muscle mass and the muscle tone. Well, as I was saying earlier, that's the little factory that burns up all the sugar in your bloodstream, right? So people that generally don't have a lot of muscle tone are at risk of diabetes or insulin resistance. Well, getting some protein sources in our diet is really essential. So cottage cheese in a half a cup has, this one organic again, 13 grams of protein. So a cup, 26 grams of protein, that's like a nutrition bar. Now I can show you a nutrition bar that has 26 grams of protein, but instead of having 6 grams of sugar and 3 grams of carbs, it would have like 50 grams of sugar and 50 carbs, right? So cottage cheese is a great source of protein, and you'd be surprised a lot of the nutrition products, the nutrition products out there, whether it's shakes or bars or whatever, are loaded with sugar, and they're loaded with carbs, and they're loaded with a bunch of other stuff that you don't need. And then finally, milk. I know some people try to avoid milk because of lactose intolerance, and so that's going to vary depending on the person. One thing I've found is that I tend to have some kind of like an allergic reaction to milk in general, but when I switch to organic milk, those I stop noticing those things. So I've switched to an organic whole milk. This one's the Kelowna Supernatural, but there are probably products out there where you live that are similar. But you might try that. If you've had some trouble with almost like allergic reaction to milk products, try some organic products and see if, maybe it is the long list of additives that they feed those cows, those milk cows, whether it's, the antibiotics that they're giving them or whatever kind of things, that's obviously getting into the milk. And so going with an organic source is better. Well, that pretty much covers the three main categories of what I wanted to share, and I'm going to be certainly sharing more through videos and through articles, but it was important to get this, again, out on the web to kind of document, time code, time and date stamp this program, and keep it flowing forward with the collaborative open source goals that I mentioned earlier. Oh, and just as a conclusion, again, when you just go down the aisles and you're looking for something healthy, this product it's called Good Natured, right? And it's baked vegetable crisps. And these are the kinds of things I post on Instagram and Twitter. I posted about this earlier. You'd look at the front of this and you see the red pepper and the spinach and the carrots, right? This is nutritious. It's got to be, right? Well, you take a look at the ingredients. This has more sugar in these than carrots, red peppers, garlic, spinach, all those things pictured on the front, onions. There's more sugar than all of that on the ingredients. So you've got to be careful about, grabbing for even like sweetened teas. Those things, sometimes they'll have more sugar than a can of Coke, So it's really kind of sad that the products people are turning to for a nutritious alternative are often worse than just the regular foods out there. And again, it's unfortunately people in the industry that are turning to sugar, which is something known to be addictive and getting you to eat more. It's like that old Doritos commercial used to say, I bet you can't eat just one. There are things that can get, you can get put in foods that really make them addictive. So anyway, thanks for watching. I know this video has been kind of lengthy, but I really wanted to include that complete list of, where I'm at this point with the program, and I'll be posting more in the future. So feel free to contact me through resourcesforlife.com or the aboutgregjohnson.com website, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks.